Okay, here's a quick review of the HP 15AY1675A 15.6 inch laptop that I bought from Currys several days ago from the so-called Black Friday week-long sale. This particular laptop, I just said, was £400. It was originally 600 or just shy of 600. It's now 399. In all honesty, if you bought this for £600, I would say you were probably ripped off because it's nowhere near worth £600. £400, I would say, is a very good deal. I mean, Currys usually have a special deal with HP, and they always usually do a HP laptop around, Christmas, Boxing Day time for around £400. This particular laptop comes in silver. As you can see, it's got like a grooved finish on the top. From a distance, it actually looks like metal, and it actually looks quite classy, but closer up, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but it's not so high quality close up. It's quite a tinny kind of plastic. In terms of on the underneath, unfortunately, like most laptops these days, you don't get any panels which you can take off to upgrade the hard drive or the memory. You do though get a removable battery, which is quite rare these days. Most batteries are built in, which means you have to take the whole panel up the back to replace it. With this one, you just flip these two switches here and it pops out like a normal laptop, like a laptop you used to get 3-4 years ago. In terms of ports, it has Ethernet, HDMI, it has one USB 3.0, 2.0 USB there, 2 USBs in total on that side, an SD card on this side, and another USB port. So just one USB 3.0 on this one, which is again, that's quite unusual. Usually they give you two. The DVD-ROM drive is on this side, DVD drive. So in terms of quality, I mean, for £400, I would say this is a good, pretty good laptop. And the actual spec, it's got an Intel i5-7200U processor, which is the latest 7th gen processor. Unfortunately, this actual 7th gen is not a lot different from the 6th gen. It's just got, I think it's got. It runs at 2.5 gigahertz. I think the previous one, because I had a laptop from last year which I accidentally broke, I think that ran at 2.2, and it's got turbo boost at the 3.1. So in terms of the actual processor, it's just a mild improvement from last year. Just slightly better clock speed and probably better power consumption. So in terms of inside, it's got an Intel i5-7200U processor, which is a good kind of middle of the road processor. Allows you to do video editing and more higher demand tasks. In terms of playing games, I wouldn't bother with this model. It's got a HD graphics 620, which is apparently you can play 4K video, but this particular screen is only 720 rather than it's not full HD, and it's certainly not 4K. So in terms of the graphics, I mean, every year Intel kind of say, oh, our graphic cards are so much better than last year, but in my experience, they barely improve. If you play high-end games, you can play games on this by all means, but they run at the very lowest settings of all. So spec, it's got Intel processor, as I said, i5 7th gen. It's got 8 GB of DDR4 Ram, which is pretty normal for this kind of price. A 1 terabyte hard drive. Unfortunately, it's a standard hard drive, not a hybrid or a SSD hard drive, so it can be a little bit sluggish. It's got, like I said, LED 720p screen HD, and it's got a 4-cell lithium battery, which on the website, on Currys' website, claims it can last up to 8 hours. I haven't got anywhere near that kind of length. I mean, maybe I've had this for 3 days, I think now, which, I mean, I know sometimes you have to discharge and charge the battery 10 or 15 times until you get the kind of full life out of them. I've probably got maybe 4.5 hours, 5 at best, just browsing the internet, but I certainly haven't got anywhere near 8 hours. In terms of build quality, I mean, if you've never had a HP laptop before, HP are kind of, again, the kind of middle of the road, especially this kind of price range. I mean, the quality is not bad. Like I said, that the tops, it looks nice from a distance, but it's a bit tinny close up. The keyboard's nice kind of layout. The finish is pretty nice, it's nice and smooth in here. The touchpad, it hasn't got one of these, just these giant oversized touchpads with no keys. It actually comes with 2 keys, which is, I personally prefer these because you can rest 2 or 3 fingers while you use your left finger to use the point on the screen. So I have found the touchpad a little bit slow and sluggish, but that's probably normal because I'm just getting used to it for now. But if you want a laptop that which actually got some keys rather than just being a big oversized touchpad, which you tap with, the buttons or whatever, this might benefit you. The only downside of the touchpad, I would say, it's exactly the same kind of surface as the rest of it. It's only got a tiny little ridge here, so you can move your fingers around and you don't even realise you're at the touchpad sometimes because it's actually the same surface. Usually the touchpads are usually slightly rougher, so it helps your finger move more smoothly, but there's nothing wrong with this. I just find it a little bit sluggish, but it's probably just me getting used to it at the moment. I mean, overall, it's actually quite a big laptop. It's a normal 15.6-inch screen, but the screen, I don't even see it in the bottom, it's quite wide in the bottom. It's got this ridge here. So it's actually a little bit bigger than my old laptop I had from 4 years ago. So, but it's a lot thinner. So I mean, thin wise, I mean it's probably barely more than an inch, I would say. So it's quite thin. This is actually slightly bigger than my old laptop because the rim around the screen is quite big. In terms of performance, like I said, I've had this 3 days, so I've just turned it on. So I mean, it's not bad. I would say, like the computer I had last year, which I broke accidentally, I would say it's pretty much the same. But I have found the hard drive a little bit sluggish. You notice these days a lot of people say, oh, it's a good PC, good spec, but the hard drive's sluggish because they're all being replaced by SSD hard drives, which are lightning fast. The last laptop I had a hybrid drive. It only had 8 gigabytes of SSD, but it made a lot of difference because it stored all the most frequently used programs and it's loaded them really fast. I don't get with this one. So I mean, in terms of loading, I was probably about 30 seconds, I don't know, something like that. You can see the screen. The screen's quite nice and bright. It's not full HD, as I said, but it's nice and bright, it's nice and clear. You can adjust the brightness here and on the keys by here. You can see the icon going up and down. You don't have to press the FM button to do that. Same with the volume, you can just adjust the volume from here. The speakers are built in the bottom here. See the vents here and here. The sound quality is pretty good for this kind of price, for 400 quid or 399. Like I said, I have found it, I mean, if you go and buy this laptop now, what you will find is a massive Windows update, because these have probably been in storage for a couple of months. They're stored in a warehouse somewhere. So you'll find a massive update from October or the beginning of November. Windows 10 runs Windows 10, so just bear in mind you will spend a good couple of hours, if not half a day, updating the damn thing with Windows 10. So in terms of speed, I have found it a little bit slow. I just click on Firefox, the icon. I have found the touchpad a little sluggish. Sometimes you have to press the buttons twice and quite hard to make it work, but maybe it's just bedding in at the moment. I just clicked Firefox there and you can see it still hasn't loaded. It's a little bit sluggish. I don't know if it's the hard drive or just, I have cleaned up the hard drive. I've defragged it as well several times, but it's still a little bit sluggish. You can see it's just loaded now. So just bear in mind, I have found it a little bit sluggish. Whether that's just, I have transferred nearly 900 gigabytes worth of data onto this thing, so that probably explains why it's running a little bit slow. So Firefox loads takes a little. The last top I had used to load Firefox within 2 seconds because it had a hybrid hard drive. So this one I have found it a little bit slower than my last one, but even though it has a slightly more powerful processor. But so in terms of running software, I think you get Power Director 14, but it's a limited version with lots of the special features removed. I've actually got number 15 on here, down by here. I've run Cyberlink Power Director and it works perfectly fine. I mean, if you want more power, then buy an i7 processor, but Power Director works perfectly fine on an i5 processor. All the programs I've used on this have worked perfectly fine. I mean, I haven't tried any games. I mean, it will run the latest games apparently. Like I said, I haven't tried, but they will be in the lowest settings and they probably look like early PS3 games at best. I mean, that's my experience with the last laptop I had, which is just the the built-in graphics chip. So there's no built-in dedicated graphics chips with this. You'd have to pay another £50–100 more to have that probably. So that's my quick review of the HP 15AY1675A laptop, which is now available for $399 from Currys in the so-called Black Friday week-long sale. So overall, I would say I have found it a little bit sluggish at times, but hopefully that's just, you know, everything's bedding in the hard drive, just getting used to the programs I use. I mean, I have cleaned it up and everything, but it is running a little bit slow for my liking. I thought it would be a little bit faster, but overall I'd say for £400, if you wanted an i5 7th gen processor, this is definitely worth the money in my opinion. I mean, it's definitely not worth 600 as it was originally, but £400, you know, I was definitely worth the money. So thanks for watching.